All right, so growing up in Nigeria, one of the things that I noticed was that words did not flow off the tip of my tongue the way they did for everyone else. Turns out that I actually stuttered, presumably from birth. Now, that it did get better as time went on, but if at any point in time during this talk you hear one word too many times in quick succession, or you see me struggling, then picture what it was like for me on my first date. It did get better, though. My dates have gotten much better since then. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to picture a little boy just about wee-high who is scared of speaking for whatsoever reason. Maybe he's scared of what his friends will think about his speech, right? Are you with me? In your head? Good. Now, as this little boy gets older, let's say he's scared of being able to do well in high school because he's scared of doing presentations, right? With me? Good. Now, as this little boy gets even older, maybe to about this height, he's scared of being able to get a good job because maybe he's scared of interview phases. Maybe he can't express himself very well, right? Can anyone see the trend here? The thing about fear is that it never really goes away. It's always going to be there. I've been scared many times, without a doubt, but what I can tell you is that fear has a cumulative effect. It can paralyze you. Stuttering for me was very real, but it was amplified by my fear, by me second-guessing myself. Now, basically what I want to share with you is a journey that I was on from a culture where I allowed fear, I gave it full permission over my life, to a time when I literally said enough is enough, right? Good. So come with me back to Nigeria. Not at the time when I was a little boy, but at a time when I was getting a little better at this fear thing. I was in high school, pretty good high school, international high school, and then we had really good caterers there. They would serve us really nice food, and we had a little shop where we could buy like sweets, no, not sweets, like bakery stuff. But I noticed a gap. There was nowhere where you could buy sweets, nowhere where you could buy candy. And most people who know me know that I have a sweet tooth, or maybe 32 of them. And I totally love sweets. And then I was thinking that, well, maybe I should do something about this. So I literally got back home from school one day, got all my money, and then I went to buy sweets. And I took them to school with me the next day, and I was selling them. Business was actually pretty good. I sold at like 3 times the actual price because there was no competition. There was no one messing with me. And people were happy to buy from me. And it was very interesting because at some point in time, demand got so good that I needed help. I needed people to actually go into this business with me. And so I reached out to my friends and I told them, hey, I'm making a lot of money. Do you want to make some more money with me? And I got responses like, what if business gets bad tomorrow? Or like, how do I explain to my parents where I'm getting all this money from? And actually, you can imagine, they didn't act. I was fortunate to find someone crazy enough who went into this business with me, and we made a lot of good money until my school found out and shut down our lucrative business. But basically, all of the money that we made was still with us. We didn't really lose all that much. Where I'm going is that if you may have the best ideas, it could solve a little need, it could solve a big need. You may have the cure for cancer somewhere in your brain. But if you allow fear paralyze you, if you're paralyzed by not being sure of what the future will hold, then that's just where the story ends. There's nothing comes out from that. One of the things that my dad would always tell me is that the richest place in the world is not the investment banks, it's not in the finance center, it's in the graveyard, the cemetery. Why? Because there lies all of the ideas that people never acted on, all of the great talents, all of the great thoughts that people never brought from inside their heads into the world today. And that's why there's so much untapped potential in there. That's why it really is the richest place in the world. Right. Now, come with me back to Hong Kong. Let's leave Nigeria, leave the tropics, come to nice Hong Kong where it's nice and cool. When I first came here, I didn't know anyone. And most of the people in this room, I still don't know you, but still. But as I went on, spent some more time in Lingnan University, I met a lot of new friends here in Lingnan, and a lot of them were actually studying courses that maybe had to do with accounting or finance, maybe because Hong Kong is a financial center, and that seemed like the right thing to do. But they didn't really enjoy finance. They didn't really enjoy accounting. It was just something that maybe their parents told them to do, or that seemed like the safe option. And that's the second thing that fear can do to you. If it doesn't paralyze you, it could set you on the wrong path, a path that could leave you very sad and really thinking about life, having a midlife crisis at some point in time. Maybe it was because of fear on my friend's parents' side or on my friend's side himself, but for whatsoever reason, fear did have that effect on them. And then it's amazing seeing someone who wants to go into photography, or someone who wants to be a professional golf player, or anyone, and then they decide to put their dreams to the side because that doesn't seem like the safe option. That doesn't seem like an option that would help them get money and live a safe, secure life, and so on and so forth. And so they're living very unhappy and very unsatisfied life. Speaking of sports, I actually like to fence. I started to fence just about last year, and then I would fence about twice a week for literally every week from September last year until now. And I absolutely love it. And then I joined the Lingnan fencing team, which is a great team. And then my coach walks up to me one day and he's like, would you like to go for a competition and represent your university? And the safest option is, of course, no. I just started, I'm not that good. But I'm very glad that I did not make that choice. I'm very glad that I actually went for that fencing competition because I learned so much and I was exposed to a whole lot. The same way when I did my first internship with a Big Four accounting firm, I was literally petrified even just applying for that because I didn't think I could do well there. And I did get in and I made a lot of mistakes, trust me. But I did learn from those mistakes. And when I was doing my next internship with a leading local bank, it was so much easier. Why? Because of something my dad would always tell me. Management comes from experience, and experience comes from making mistakes. And one of the things fear can do is that it prevents you from making these mistakes because you want to have the safe way out. You want the path that means you mess up the least and you make the least mistakes. But then you don't learn from these things, and that could lead to a very sad life. Now, one of the things I would say that has helped me along this journey of mine, from not just from Nigeria to Hong Kong, but from one culture to the other, is simply knowing who you are and knowing the value that is inside you, knowing all the potential that is inside you. I am a very happy Christian, and I find my identity in Christ. I have a lot of friends who are not Christian, some of which are in this room, and they find their identity maybe in the value they can bring to a business room or whatsoever they choose. It doesn't really matter what you find your identity in, but know who you are and know the potential that's right inside you right now. That thing that keeps you awake up at night, that dream that you have. Get to know yourself better. You never really take the steps unless you start to think about it. And once you actually know who you are and know the great things that you can achieve, then it's easier for you to start to set goals. And one thing that happens when you set a goal is that you want to achieve it. Nobody wants to set a goal and then fail. Nobody likes to fail, right? Am I correct? Good, exactly. Setting these goals that you know you can achieve, that would actually challenge you, would actually propel you to meet them, right? So know who you are. The next thing that helped me a lot is discipline. I like to have a to-do list. I like to have goals that I like to achieve. But then one of the things that I would challenge you to do is have a to-don't list. Not a to-do list, but a to-don't list. One of the things that usually shows up on my to-don't list is do not read any negative article today. Because you go onto the news today, you can see the title of what the news article is talking about. If it's talking about how the world economy is looking bleak, and how everybody should be scared and sell everything and buy maybe bitcoins or whatever, that's just gonna instill fear into you. And one of the things that my dad always loves to tell me is that at a point in time where there's uncertainty, when things don't seem to be going very well, that's when the real opportunity lies. But if you listen to the voice of fear, then you cannot look beyond these maybe not so great times and see all of the opportunity that lies there. Another thing that usually pops up on my to-don't list is do not procrastinate, simply because that is a thief. In Hong Kong, at some point in time, you usually end up being a deadline fighter, but try and make sure that doesn't happen to you, because it could lead you down the wrong path. I don't know each and every one of you very well, but the things that are important to you, the things that you feel should be on your to-don't list, make one, put them there, and before you go to bed every night, tick them off and be happy that you know you did not do these things. The final thing I will leave with you that really helped me, and I hope will help you as well, is have the right people around you. I think it doesn't take too much to deduce that I love my father, and he's been a great influence, and he's been a really solid rock for me. But he's the kind of a person who, even when he sees a son who is literally struggling with words for at least a decade, he's still gonna believe in you. And these are the kind of people you need in your life, people who can look beyond where you are now and can still believe in you, who still want to invest time in you and don't see you as not a waste of time, and so on and so forth. I think that these are the people who would challenge you, and the people who, when you have that great idea in your mind and you just need that little push to get it out there, these are the people that will get it out to you, because you don't want to keep those great ideas in there. Remember the graveyard, the richest place in the world? Do me a very big favor and don't invest in the graveyard. Invest in yourself. Thank you.